voice of the Vipers is back there, so he's going to record this. You guys will hear this better and be able to ask questions, all that kind of stuff. But we're going to jump right in to probably the best part of this whole meeting. Right here is Craig Nyberg. Craig has been a college football coach for 35 years. Can you hear me, Craig, or not?
33, 34, yeah, something like that.
Okay. And Big Time College. His first job was at the University of Mexico, and then he's just been all over. He's been in Texas, guys. He's been at USC. You name the college, those college guys have moved around a bit. He's probably been there. And so, I thought instead of hearing it from me, why don't you ask an expert? He can actually tell you what he thinks about the portal, what he thinks about how it's best to get recruited, how does football recruiting work. And so you're literally looking at a recruiting expert. No one has access to a college coach to ask questions like this but us. And so we played together at Hardin Simmons, and he's kind of gone his path, and it's obviously been super successful, and I always admired the stuff he's done. So really, guys, I'll throw out questions if you can't come up with any. I really need y'all to be loud. You need to ask questions. He said he'd stay with us for 30 minutes and talk to us. And so I'm going to be quiet because it's unusual to have somebody like this with this experience here, and I'll let you guys ask questions. He'll answer anything. All right. Thank you, Coach, for being here. Appreciate you being here.
No, I appreciate it. I'm on spring break right now, and I'm right down the road from you guys. Most people go to the slopes or Cabo. I'm in Taylor, Texas right now, my hometown. Excited to be on this, and whatever y'all need from me, please ask. I'm not shy, I'm not bashful. I'll give you my answer. It may not be the right answer, but I'll give you what I think and what I believe, and I appreciate this opportunity.
All right, guys. It's up to y'all.
What is the best way for kids that want to go into college? What tools do they need to use, or who do they need to be in contact with for the recruiting process?
Great question. The very best, I'm going to give you a broad answer and kind of table it. The very best way to do that is to your high school football coach. There's no such thing as a guy that gets lost in the weeds or nobody knows about this guy or any stuff like that that used to happen 20 and 30 years ago with everything technology-wise, social media, everything that's out there. Nobody slips through the cracks. So one is being in a very good program, because that's going to help your development. And I think this is one of the pieces that sometimes people don't understand as much as the developmental piece, because we can all see a 6th, 7th, or 8th grader. He or she is a pretty good athlete, and they're really, really good. But how they develop their skills, how they continue to grow and build themselves, and then once they've done that, being able to compete at a high level, be developed, and to be seen. Well, how am I going to be seen? The progress for a young man that's getting in high school. My son's going to be a freshman. What does he need to do? He needs to work his tail off. He needs to compete. He needs to develop himself as best he can to put himself in a position, if he's really, really elite, if he makes varsity as a sophomore, that's great, but that's very hard to do. But a young man's junior year is a big piece for them to kind of get on the radar fully. And what happens kind of the recruiting process with us, when I'm going to come out and see you guys, Drew's going to say, hey, this young man's about to be a junior. I'm going to see him in spring practice this year. Keep your eye on him. So then I know that I can check back every few games and see how he's doing his junior year to go, hey, this guy's pretty good. He's doing well. And that kind of gets him on the radar for us to recruit him. But I think the part of, well, does he need to go to these camps? Do we need to spend money with some type of internet or website, or I hate to say it now, but people are getting agents. They don't need to. There's no replacement for freaking hard work, busting your butt, and the reference that's gonna help a young man get recruited the most is his high school coaching staff. And for me, a big piece of it is other high school coaching staffs. Because when I go recruit, I'm gonna ask Drew, okay, tell me about your players. Then I'm gonna ask him, who are some other guys I need to look at in the area? And I'm gonna go to every school and do that. And if the high school coach says, hey, so-and-so grammar is pretty good, have you checked on him yet? That's a good representation for me of where that young man is at. But the components that you usually get asked, how important is, do I need an outside trainer? No, you don't. You've got a whole building full of trainers that are right there to help your son. Some sports, I'm talking football-wise, maybe some sports more specific, golf, tennis, parts of baseball, maybe that may be a benefit. But football-wise, I haven't seen much of it. 7-on-7s, there's nothing wrong with it. Guys don't get recruited because they're great 7-on-7 players. 7-on-7 is not football. It's a good developmental tool, but it's not that. Playing other sports, huge for me, and for most people. A young man or a young lady will be in a competitive mode in different sports. They don't just get burned out on one or the other. I think that's a big piece of it. For the football side, are you playing basketball? Are you running track? Track's a huge piece of it. I'm a big baseball guy, me personally, just playing other sports, wrestling, whatever it is, be on another team, competing. And then the other question is always like summer camps at the colleges now. Those are good and bad. Sometimes you see guys that, I use a great reference. When I was at the University of Texas, we had a guy come to camp and he wouldn't do very well. And I was like, what's wrong, buddy? He goes, Coach, this is my 7th camp in 5 days. I'm like, well, you ain't gonna worn out, buddy. And I can talk more on that specifically down the road if you have more questions about that. But the biggest #1 asset is developing, working their tail off, and putting out good film on Thursday and Friday nights. And then the relationships that you build with coaches, social media is an awesome deal. You know, and the fact that, you know, a coach can follow your son back and forth. You follow that coach as well, so they can kind of build a relationship that way and different stuff like that. But there is no magic or special sauce to it. It's work. It's putting in. I think for young men to realize, young ladies as well, like you say, young men, because that's my horse, sort of football. It also takes sacrifice. You're going to give up to be at that elite level playing collegiate athletes. You choose to be special, and you're going to have to give up some time on the video games, time being a vegetable, watching TV. You're going to have to spend extra time studying video, getting my sleep, eating the right things, doing all those things that you guys are fortunate in a program that preaches that. That's going to help young men because understanding just as their body develops and grows, you know, they want to put themselves in the best situation, one, to be healthy, to do all that, and put their best foot forward every day in practice and in workouts.
Hey, Coach, will you tell our parents about the value or not value of these recruiting services that continually hit them up once they, you know, once.
If you lived in a different state, if you were a place that wasn't as heavily recruited, I can see maybe that helps. But the fact, and I'm speaking football-wise, it may be different in something else, but if you're in volleyball or in soccer or baseball, you may get recruited more off of your club team versus high school, all that stuff like that. But what you do on a field or court is going to get mattered, going to get recognized. But it's a money grab with all these different things. And hey, we're gonna contact these coaches for you. We have connections for you and all this stuff. And the really.
Got a question. You mentioned agents. Is that a good idea to get a representative or agent, something like that, to kind of help be a liaison?
No, because the problem with that is if all of the people that are agents in college football right now are not licensed agents, anybody could be an agent. Anyone can represent your son, which again is another, everybody's got different motives and stuff, and there are some good out there, I assure there are. In general, no, that's not needed, because a great example, I'll give you quick examples. We had a young man in Arizona, he visited this past June. Not when you visit, you're obviously offered a scholarship, you're also kind of going through, this is your revenue share contract. This is the money you're going to be getting that the school is going to pay you. He agreed to that number. That's what he was going to get. And then he went out, after he left his visit in June, then he left, went and got an agent to look at the contract and make everything was good. Nothing changed, but now he owes this guy 10% of what he's making. Spooked 10% of his money away. The other story I'll give you, I was at Coastal Carolina 3 years ago. The portal had just opened. He's getting contacted by more people. At 6:55, a text message from him that said, "Coach, I would be more comfortable if you just talked to my agent." I'm like, "Your agent? Oh, I'd like to talk to your parents." No, he's going to handle everything. So I said, "Okay, I'll bite." So I contacted this agent. This agent was a sophomore that had went to LSU, sitting in an apartment in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But the guy got offers on Twitter. The agent contacted this young man and gave him some false information of, "I talked to this school, this school, this school, this school, I've already got you this much money ready to go. Are you in?" And the young man says, "Yes, I am." So, I will say this, most college coaches, and they're a whole lot more good than they are bad, will kind of let you know, like, hey, this is probably the right time to get an agent, and get kind of just like we do with our guys going to the NFL, like.
Camps versus junior days in the summer. What is your level of interest in a recruit that you have invited to a junior day in April or May versus not, or is it summer?
Yeah, so if you've been invited to a junior day, that means they have interest in you, obviously. There are two versions of a junior day. One is kind of that these are the guys we really want. This is the elective junior day, where it may be 15, 20, 25 guys, maybe a few as 10. Some schools do what I call the cattle call junior day, where it's like, hey, it's everybody that can come, and the colleges have to do that to be fair to everyone, of not excluding, hey, I'm not going to say no to everybody, but they're going to try to do specific ones. So if you are invited to that junior day, it's like, look around, how many people are here? If there's 300 people there, it was a good thing to go and do, experience, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're in that select few of, hey, there's not many people here today, that kind of shows you where you sit on the totem pole. Versus the camps in summer, the biggest thing at camp is good, rather than just showing up at big school camp just to get the t-shirt and take a picture with the coach, look at me. You've wasted your time and money, but more importantly, you've wasted a training day, in my opinion, that you could have spent at high school, because all that stuff's going on during summer workouts. Or I'm just, as I mentioned before, the young man that goes to camp and it's his 8 or 9, 7 or 8 days, he's just worn out. And he's not putting up his best times and stuff like that. They're timing him doing that stuff. But even worse, he's kind of torn his body down for a 7 or 8 day period. Then he's got to go jump into summer workouts. And he puts himself at getting injured because he's torn himself down, running a max 40. 8 different times the last 5 days. So,
Coach, a lot of
the next opportunity for me to get out to campus and come see you guys. Kind of like, put the ball in the coach's court, like, hey, are you guys, or what's your camp schedule, obviously stuff like that, but when can I come visit campus? Because if a coach is taking time, because starting, now, it's contact, it's not contact period, but it's a period where you guys can come to campuses. And if they're directing you to like, well, there's a certain day to come versus, hey, can we come next weekend? Sure, come on, come see us. That's gonna kind of give you an indication of what their interest level is with that. But just asking, when can I get to campus? When can I come see everything? If you don't get a response, that kind of tells you what's going on. Or if they say, hey, here's our camp schedule, then they just kind of gave you a blanket follow-up. And the tricky part with all this is 10 to 20 years ago, it was just the position coaches involved in recruiting. Now, there's people in even our building, I don't know who they are. There's so many people in there because they have like students that volunteer, and that's awesome. They work in there as interns. And who is communicating with your son? I make sure it's a coach. There's recruiting interns, there's the player development guy, there's a management guy, there's an assistant GM, a GM. It's the structure of an NFL deal. There's so many people that reach out. It's like, who am I talking to? Well, I'm the assistant personnel director. Okay. My son plays receiver. I like to talk to receiver coach. So that's also a part. Who are they dealing with? Who they're speaking with?
Nick, Coach, sticking with the XF, Coach reached out and said, hey, take a video of yourself doing these 20 drills, send a link on the instructions to the video. Is this something that is part of your recruiting process? Asking kids to do videos of 20 different drills?
I've not heard that specifically. I'll always ask the guy, like, hey, when you're gonna go do some stuff, film it.
Yeah.
I like to do that. I've never given a specific list of duties, which, I mean, I don't see that there's anything wrong with that. But I do think it's important on your son's Twitter is to, like, when they do work out, when they do specific things, when it's a bench or max or squat or something involved with what they're doing, if they do something well, post it. Because it's just more content that's out there for us to see.
Hey, Coach, I have a question for you. What are the pros and cons of attending camps like Rival, You Are Athlete, or Under Armour for our athletes?
Well, nothing, you're not getting recruited out of those. The way those groups of camps work, usually there's a big, anybody can go on Saturday. And what they sell you on is, hey, if you do good enough on Saturday, we'll invite you to Sunday's camp. And there's guys who've done that, but very few do. The Sunday camp, like they just had one in Dallas 2 weeks ago. Somebody just had one in Houston this past weekend. Because a guy that I know works for this stuff. And they essentially choose, they've already invited the main guys they want for Sunday's camp. And that camp, if you're into that one, it's a good deal because there is a deal called, what's the website? I'll think of it in a minute. Well, they film that camp. They film what goes on. And then all the schools buy the link to get that down. At that camp, they have a standard height and weight. They're going to put you up against the deal. They're going to take pictures of you, all this stuff like that. Well, that only happens if you're in the Sunday camp. The Saturday camp data is just data that's out there. It's, nobody ever gets. So if you're specifically invited to go to the Sunday camp, I think they're pretty good. Early, don't go to too many of them. And then the other part of camps is, you know, where's your son in his training progression to like run a 40? If it's at the end of that, if you get to a situation where your coaching staff has built you up to run at full tilt, which is either through track workouts or part of what they're doing, great. If you just go up there and just run a 40 and you haven't trained, you're not going to run a good time, or your body's not ready for it, you may pop a hamstring. So those are kind of integral parts of, you know, when I should not do that. But you've got a better opportunity to do better, do more if you go to specific college camps that are held in June than those. My son never went to any of those.
So question, besides track times, is there any universal way to establish your son's speed? Because everybody's stopwatch is a little bit different, you know, hey, I run this, I run that. Are there any places that coaches look for?
Well, most track meets are FAT, so they're electronic time in Texas. So if you got a Texas track time, you got legit time. So track's important. If a high school coach is timing, they're gonna do the best, every time you're doing it, I will. We're gonna, run a time. But you get a pretty accurate number because most everybody that does a good job is gonna put 2 to 3 to 4 watches on a young man when they run, so you get a good average time. And, 4 or 5 is obviously faster than 7. So you kind of get a stepping off point. Part of camps, I'll mention this too, is like, pay attention to where your son is aligned. Pay attention to their numbers or colors or color of wristband or stuff like that they get when they go there. Because with all the guys that go to universities usually have some type of system. Hey, everybody that's got a red armband are guys we look at that are going to be juniors. Maybe a blue, red wristbands, guys are going to be seniors or whatever. And then just a white wristband is just a guy, stuff like that. But track times and then what you do in their testing for your high schools, I think is important. Because a lot of guys will finish up their testing, if I'm right on this, Drew, either preparing for spring ball and rib injury, I'm good.
To piggyback off the last question, so some of the camps have like a combine where they, they test you with show drills and stuff like that, and we're verified with lasers and stuff like that, and then they have a universal website or something like that where they send the information. Can that be verified? For instance, for you, could you go in there and look at and see what my son ran and know that it's verified by laser or something like that? I mean, is that helpful for those combines?
It's a website that all the colleges get, and it's got a database, but it's got a small data. I say small. You got to be pretty good at getting a UC report. But if you are I'm posting numbers out there, you're a 4-star, 5-star guy, maybe a 3-star guy, whatever. And I hate the star system. I'm using an example. But UC report will, yes, they'll put out verified times. This is what at so-and-so camp, his 5-10-5 was this number. At so-and-so thing, he got this. And that's what I mentioned, the Under Armour camps or whatever those are. That's where they get that data and put it on their website. So what is happening a lot right now is at those camps, kids aren't running 40s. They're not doing 5-10-5. They just want to do the drills. Well, those kids aren't, strong arms not the word, but they're highly encouraged to run a 40, to run a 5-10-5, so those website, they can sell that data to the website, so everybody can make money off it, because if there's a website that just has drill work, it's not near as valuable as, okay, he's a verified 6'2", 240 pounds, his 5'10", 5 is this, vertical jump is such a, off the rails, you know, the vertical jump shooters jump on the pad, those can be manipulated so bad, those are worthless. A true vertical jump, we actually having to truly touch a number, that's real. But to answer your question, yes, a select few guys have that data on a website called UC Report, and that information doesn't cover coaches. That's bought from those camps. But I can get every bit of that from Coach Sanders if I call up and say, hey, give me this guy's height, weight, what's his legs, bench, where's he at, how's he developed, and they're gonna have all those numbers too of what did he do his sophomore year versus this year. Because a big part of me is like, I mentioned development earlier in the speech of like, how is this guy developing? Where is he at? Where is he going? And it shows how hard it worked as well.
What would your advice be? Of course, everyone wants to go to the D1 big school, right? The reality of it. Trying to walk on or taking a D2 or D3, getting college film and trying to get to the bigger school.
Great question. The walk-on piece, I'll address that first, is unique because of the reduced roster limits. Every Division I school in football is only allowed 105 guys on their roster. A few may have a couple more this year, maybe next year, because when they took the roster limit down to 105, if you were a walk-on, you were grandfathered in, or you didn't have to be cut, you could stay with your squad. But I think like in Arizona, we're projected to have 180 guys on our roster because we have 3 protected walk-ons. Okay. Texas, SEC schools, they're gonna have 105 guys on scholarship, or whatever they wanna go to. But you can have 105 guys on scholarship. So the walk-on thing is pretty much not relevant there anymore. The walk-ons that would earn a scholarship aren't really as real anymore because of the 105 number. Now, if you're a Big 12 school, you can have up to 105, as many as least as 105, 85. We still have just 85 guys on scholarship, but we have walk-ons that do earn revenue share money. Now, what I mean by that, that's not NIL. NIL is a different entity. The revenue share is the amount of money that the university legally pays that student athlete per month. It's in a contract and says, hey, some walk-on may get $1,500 a month. That's not a scholarship, but that's money in your pocket. Some may get $4,000 a month, some may get $500 a month, whatever you want it to be. The 1AA Division II route, I think people built up too much. It's more the kids. I've got to go play at Texas. I've got to play at XYZ school. I've got to go big time ball. One, that's your B, there's a lot of damn good football that's played at the lower levels. And unfortunately, or fortunately, because of how the transfer portal works now, the way I look at college football now, it's Major League Baseball. There's the Dodgers, there's the Yankees, there's the teams that are going to spend oodles amounts of money that are probably going to have the best team. Well, the Dodgers win. They spend the most, they have the best players. That's going to resonate more and more and more in college football. The haves and the have-littles and the have-nots. But the piece of minor league baseball, if I play for the Pirates, if I play good enough, maybe my next contract, that's out of the Yankees. Or if I play for the Round Rock Express, if I play good enough, I'll move up and play with the Rangers. That's what Division II FCS guys that go in there that are hungry work their way up because the transfer portal can do that now. So I talk out both sides of my mouth, but my son is at FCS school that had a 9-win season. I would bet you that 75% of those kids went there thinking, I'm gonna ball out, and I'm gonna move on and go somewhere else. And a few of them did, very few, but a few did really well. But once those guys got there and started playing with each other, became teammates and worked for each other, those things like that, you know, they're very happy where they're at, playing really good football and enjoying what they're doing. So, as bad as the portal has made things for high school guys trying to get onto a roster, the roster limit to 105 has made it hard. But the availability to work your way up as you go through college has helped guys in that regard too.
You got
But if you gave me like, what would be a better route to walk on at big school or to go play at UT Rio Grande Valley? I want to go play. Because if you play, you're going to get on tape. If you're good enough, somebody will find you and move you up if you so choose to.
Do you guys have more questions? Do you want me to log off and log back on with Coach Nyberg? He said he'd stay a few more minutes, or are we good? Where are y'all? Obviously, this is great. Do you might have any more questions, or we feel like we've got our questions? Okay. We're about to run out of time, like literally in 30 seconds. So, any more than just one? Because otherwise, he'll log back on, so we can do it.
It'd be great if you log back on.
Okay, all right. So, Coach, we're gonna shut off, and because we're on budget cuts here at Vandegrift, and so we didn't pay for the upgraded Zoom, so we're gonna log off.
You're getting by, yeah.
Can you, all right, jump back on for 10 minutes, Coach. 10 more minutes and we'll be done. All right, so log off and then invite him back. All right, great. This is great, isn't it, guys?
Yes.
Super knowledgeable. Yep. So we'll just stop it and then start over. All right, guys. Can y'all hear it? Can you hear us, Coach?
Yes, sir.
Okay, y'all go.
I was just wondering, I know it's like receivers and stuff, you have those explosive plays that get a lot of footage, but what about O-line recruiting? What do you look for?
What, offensive line recruiting?
Yes.
The tough part about offensive line recruiting is every school is gonna have a height weight. It's just like going to Six Flags, you gotta be big enough to ride the ride. So, they're gonna go, young man's, they'll dip down, and maybe if a guy's like really, really elite, 6'2.5", 6'3", but 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" are the magic numbers everybody's looking for. Offensive tackles are the hardest to so bigger, longer, leaner, and not to say the young man that's 6'1" or 6'2" can't get it done, and there's examples, but it all comes down to the feet. I just gotta bulk up and get stronger. You need to be extremely flexible, and what those guys are doing. So like getting involved in yoga, heavy stretching, wrestling is outstanding. Big guys play basketball, that's awesome. They move around the court, they get, coordinated and things like that. But, am I big enough to ride the ride?
And do y'all get that height away from the coach? Because I know sometimes on X, that number might not be accurate.
Yeah, I'm always, if I present, I go see an offensive lineman somewhere, you know, I'm gonna, when guys put their numbers on, X or Twitter, whatever it's called now, put your legit stuff, because you'll end up pissing a coach off. If I'm gonna drive out, set up.
Like property taxes.
Wasn't redshirted, and he's gonna graduate and he's, you know, whatever age, you know, make sure people know that he could be 17 years old, he's a senior. Well, people don't even know that. Versus the guy that was redshirted, and he's, you know, damn near 19 years old, he's graduating. And it's kind of funny too, with linemen too, you can kind of see that they got a lot of acne, or they start to get a beard. Kind of where their body development is.
So going back to someone asked about times, you said for height, you get it an inch shorter. Weight, like our son's gotten like 287 to 281 in a week, depending on who weighs. So what, like weight, how do you fluctuate that?
Right, but just put a middle number down. Yeah, the weight will fluctuate so much, but yeah, just put a number in the middle right there. The weight part isn't so much as the height, it's kind of like the turn off, but yeah, or, you know, guys are, you know, growing and getting bigger, like literally, I'm on the scale, take a picture of the scale, and I'm fired up. My biggest window starts following their sophomore year. So we are able to, the calendar's kind of different, but we're able to come out in January to go to the schools physically. And everybody just finished up their season. There's a young man that either just finished up his sophomore year and he had a really good JV season, or he got some reps on the varsity, and the coaches are going to say, hey, you need to keep your eye on this guy when we come back and watch practice in April and May. Or, more importantly, the guy that just finished his junior season, when we come see them in January at the school, we've got a pretty good idea of where that guy fits on our recruiting board. Are we gonna offer him? Is he a wait and see guy, and kind of where is he at? We just need to watch him in spring practice, whatever that is. So the time of, from my sophomore to my junior year, how I do in that spring ball is important, because if you're a sophomore that's probably going to earn playing time in your junior year, you're going to earn that in spring ball. And as we go through spring ball, Coach Drew's going to say, Coach Sanders is going to say, hey, this guy's having a hell of a spring. Keep an eye on him. Great. We're going to keep our eye on him. We're going to do that. If he's not an offer guy ready by then. And then the young man that just finished his junior year, guys are just late bloomers, like the guys that really come on their senior year. That's harder to do now because everybody's pretty much allotted and made offers and got guys committed, because there's no limit to how many guys you can sign. It's what's your roster turnover going to be? How many guys are going to leave? How many guys are going to try to keep? Nobody really knows. So everybody pretty much limits the number of high school kids they're going to sign to hedge their bet. If I lose X amount of players to the portal, I've got to go be able to get guys in there at that age and that experience level to replace that. So, to answer your question, have a great spring ball before your junior year. Have an outstanding spring ball before your senior year. And that gets you on the radar with all your tape.
All right, anybody else? One more question?
And the other thing I'll say about this too is this is the hardest thing to convince to my son too, of like, hey, spring pulse is extremely important. Because you got, what do you got, you 18 days, how many days do you have now?
18 days.
18 days. I say it's this, it's 18 job interviews. Because I would be shocked if of the 18 days you guys practice, there's not 3, 4, 5, 8 coaches, 10, 12 coaches that have come through that day to watch. And if the coaches come to watch me practice, I need to have a better day that day. So what happens in the springtime, guys, like, well, it's not the season, I'm gonna stay up late, I'm not gonna do it. No, get your butt to bed, hydrate, take care of your body, get ready to go, because those 18 days sometimes have more value than actually Friday nights, because that's gonna get you on or off people's radars.
All right. Anything else, guys? We'll need to let him go, but anything else? Okay, can we give Coach Snyder a round? Thank you, Coach. We really appreciate you.
No, appreciate you guys, thank y'all very much. You guys are blessed, I got one of the best in the country, take care of your guys, and, excited. I'm gonna be in Arizona, but I'm checking on Vype score every Friday night, so. All right, you guys, and congrats, and keep rolling.
Thanks, Coach. All right, man. That was a great start, wasn't it? Man, so good to hear that information. Okay, so we went a little long on that. I really try hard. You guys know that in this program, I really try hard to keep our meetings to about an hour. Everybody's come home from work, they're tired, they're eating, all that stuff. So, we've got an extensive presentation. It's probably a 45-minute presentation, so I know we don't quite have time for all that. So I want to highlight a couple of things, and then we will share this presentation, and then we're going to have this recorded, and you can send this out again if you want to watch it again, whatever else. Does that sound good to everybody? Yeah. Okay, so let's try to keep like 15, 20 minutes. So are you able to see this, or should I turn off the lights, or? Seems like we can't really see it that well. Probably the lights didn't turn off. Yeah, that's good. Just turn it on. That's fine. Okay. All right, let's roll. We have a presentation mode with this, or no? We're just rolling. All right, we're just rolling. Let's roll. All right. Okay, so these are some questions that you guys want to talk to your son about. And man, what a great opportunity it is to hear someone that's been doing this for over 3 decades about what does the walk mean? The walk don't mean the same. That's one of the things I was going to say. They don't mean the same as they used to. The walk really isn't a thing much anymore. It is a very, very limited thing. But yeah, you got, and some of this, one of these things is like, where does he want to be? Like, does he want to stay in Texas? Does he want to go out of state? That's something else. Some kids are so dead set against the cold. They don't want to be in the cold environment. That's not crazy. I've heard that multiple times as we've been through recruiting. But that's the things you want to talk about, right? The realities of recruiting, this is you know how hard it is to play in college. It's somewhere in the 2 to 3% range that play in college. It is extremely competitive and it's fluid. We have had multiple young men have scholarships taken back, offers that all of a sudden go away, non-committable offers that, I'm not going to make this offer official until you show up on campus. It is competitive and fluid. The transfer portal has definitely changed a lot. If you think about a school and you're a coach at a school and you're on the hot seat, are you going to risk your job on an 18-year-old you're not so sure about, or are you going to, if you've got money, would you pay for a 22-year-old? Which one would you do if you were that coach? So that's basically what they're thinking. And so it is a choice a lot of times to take that 20-year-old over the 18-year-old. Big to do was think about Indiana. What about Indiana? One of the oldest what? One of the oldest teams in college football. I think it was the oldest team in college football. They picked right on their talent, and they got more mature young men. There's a reason that a lot of seniors play more than freshmen. And that's not that dramatic in college, but it still is different. And then, yeah, I mean, you think it's guaranteed, it's definitely not. All right, let's see what else we got here. So we've got NCAA stuff all here, easily accessible. You can kind of scroll through this, Coach. This is some stuff we can skip. All kinds of cool stuff like eligibility calendar. We try to put it all in one place for you guys, so y'all can go and kind of have a one-stop shop. We don't have the time to brag on all of our guys that have gotten to play scholarship. Every single position is different. You know, for receiver, they're going to take some quick, shorter receivers. Running backs, as long as you're explosive, height isn't as important. Linemen, they're not bending on that. They are not going to bend on that. If I try to bring a 6'1" offensive lineman or a Division I or 6-foot defensive end, they'll say, "Thank you, coach," and they'll walk out of there and they're never talking to that person again because certain schools have certain things that they are not going to bend. Okay? And I have a chance to have conversations like that with these guys because a lot of these guys are my friends. And they will not. They'll say it like this: "I'm not going to my head coach report. Whatever, that's not this height. That's just the way they think." So it's good as a parent if you know that there are certain requirements, particularly the linemen, that they're not going to bend on. And so we put just a few average. And I thought this was a really interesting stat. So you can look at this later. But the difference between the FBS size and the NCAA size, there's not a huge difference if you look at the wide receiver, for example. Coach Knocker was, obviously he's an expert, but he goes, if you can play FCS receiver, you got recruited there, if you're successful, you can probably play FBS receiver, if that kind of makes sense. With the linemen and tight ends, I would say he'd probably agree with this, are a big difference too. D linemen. But that's all there for you. We don't have time to go through all that stuff, but it's definitely a start. It's definitely a start to their interest. We've had multiple guys. We'll have a guy at Baylor right now playing defensive line. Was a very good player for us. He had not played a snap of varsity football. He walked into the office and the coach said, "How are you?" He introduced himself and he goes, "I'd like to offer you a full scholarship to his school." He just met him and he hadn't played one snap of varsity football. He knew he was in a good program and he reached the measurables. Okay, does that kind of make sense? Okay, so that's how important it is in certain positions. So just know that. Yeah, we can keep going. That's all kinds of stuff. Okay, academic stuff is here. If you're a Vandegrift, you're probably doing okay on your grades. I know we have a few of our young men that we're working with, but these are basic guidelines that you need. SAT and ACT scores are important. What I would say is if I got young folks listening to this or in here right now, your freshman grades actually do matter. You need to have good freshman grades. That is probably the biggest thing that actually has caught up to Vandegrift young men is they don't take their freshmen seriously and also they mature and then that catches them and they can't get the offer of the school that they maybe now want as a junior or senior like a Duke or North Carolina or whatever else. And then SAT prep, ACT prep is important too. Okay? But that's all there. You can keep going on that, Coach. I think we're doing good on time. We're trying to. So, I think that D1 football recruiting, were you going to talk about this, Coach Brad, or was this me?
I don't know, either one's fine. This is, Coach Navar talked a little bit about this. I think the biggest part of this slide is the skills versus the combine. And then when you go to a camp, a combine is going to have more measurables to all the things that you talked about. When you're in 9th and 10th grade, you're still developing to a certain extent. A lot of those measurables aren't going to show up yet in your 9th and 10th grade.
What he's saying is, guys, if you're in 9th grade, you don't run a 4.5 40, you probably don't want to go to that. Because what is it doing for you? In fact, it's probably hurting you. They put you in whatever that band, he's talking about the color band, they're putting you in that group. So if you want to just go learn some skills and you want to have fun and go to Texas A&M and go to there, well then please feel free to do that. But combine's a little different, especially the 9th and the 10th grade, unless you're an elite athlete. We definitely have some here. And but if you want suggestions or like thoughts on that, please ask me here or any of us go. What did he say? He said junior year is a big year. Okay? Spring ball. Junior year is a big year football wise. If you're going into your junior year, it's very important for your recruiting, but the sophomore spring ball is also very important. And, you know, I try to get across to young men, that sometimes you can help as parents too, is that, you know, for them to have a good practice is important. It means go to bed on time. This is the stuff I tell them, sometimes they don't listen when they get home and they're having fun playing Fortnite or whatever else, okay? And so we need to understand, like, every day we have competitive stuff during spring, almost every day we have college coaches there. Get him some food and make sure he's rested, but we need him ready to go to practice or spring ball. Spring ball is very, very important to get, and he needs to try his best to stay healthy during that time, so nothing's out of his control. What else, Coach, on that? Anything you want to add on that?
No, I think Coach Nymark did a lot of.
Yeah, he did. He talked about that. I don't want you guys to give up. If your son's a senior right now, or I think senior, and he doesn't have any offers, I also want to be clear, do not say, well, it's over. Well, you know what, you may not go to Texas, but you can go to North Texas, maybe, and then you transfer, just like we had two guys that just happened. And one of them signed a $7 million deal. That's pretty good. That's not a $7 million right now. So, all I'm saying is you just keep being the best version of yourself, trust your coaches, and we'll help them. Coach, what else on senior year? We've got multiple guys getting offered senior year. You need to count.
Yeah, that just lists, you know, some of the standards as far as business and things like that, if it's all on this presentation.
Just interesting stuff for you that you can know when they're coming around or not. So Coach updated this, Coach Mason did a great job of updating all these details like this. So this is when they'll be out recruiting. Well, how did we feel about recruiting services after Coach Nyberg? I mean, he just basically kind of roasted them. Guys, in my opinion, you can spend your money better by doing this. Anybody that asks what you want, can you sign up? Take that money, whatever they would, put it in a little account and use it for your travel, for your camps and things like that. Okay, that actually has some value, or safety for college. What they'll actually give you is Division III, a ton of Division III offers, which guys, you're going to get that regardless, playing at Panther. Okay, we have a ton of Division III offers. There is no one, any of those services that have more contact than me or any of us. I can promise you that. And a lot of you guys know I'm president of the Coaching Association. I mean, I would say between all of us and Coach Woolley and some of the other guys, I can probably get a hold of somebody, at least one person on every staff in the United States. And if I don't, I would be able to text somebody and he goes, hey, I really want to get somebody in front of this Notre Dame guy to get it. Okay, so you can pay for that if you like. I'm not going to stop you. But we want to do that for you for free and we'll help. Okay? And just some more information for you. Like I said, this is trying to be a one-stop shop. Coach, you made these couple of slides. You want to talk about that? Just Brad, anything you want to those questions to ask?
Yeah, Coach Mason, you make this.
Oh, yeah, Coach Mason, sorry, Coach Mason, you made anything you want to talk about on that? Coach Mason played, we didn't even talk about this. Coach Mason is new here, his first year with us. Played O-line at Sam Houston. All 4 years, Coach?
All 4 years.
All 4 years. Coach, baseball?
Yes.
At what college?
Charleston State.
Charleston State, and then 4 years at Princeton Division III school. Coach, tell us about some of these things here.
So like it shows on the screen here, I mean, these are just things, this slide is more of general things that you would want to know about as parents and kids, like, you know, what's the school's graduation rate, tuition, things like that. But as of late, you know, we've had a couple issues, you know, recently, knowing what the difference is between an offer that's committable and not committable, right? We've had some offers that get pulled late, and that's just the reality of the, you know, situation that we live in. That, you know, talking to myself, Coach Sanders, and talking to the college coach that, you know, is in communication with you guys, and finding out, is this offer real, right? Is this something that I can actually commit to, right?
The way I would handle this, we're here for you. I want you to know, like you mentioned agent. I'm actually your agent. I want no money. Maybe it makes a big baby cheeseburger later or something like that, okay? From whatever. But I will help you. I'll represent your best interest. You can ask me the guys that have signed the big time scholarships. You tell me, like I've had parents tell us, like I don't want ED3 stuff. You got it? The ED3 person, I want ED2. You got it? Whatever, we will mark that down, and it will not happen. So, number one, we represent your best interest, however we can represent. When you get that first offer, when your child gets that first offer, the best way to handle that is to be thankful, say, thank you so much, sir, but it's not the time to ask, can I commit right now? So, the offer you get sometimes isn't committable, and sometimes people will tell you that, and then sometimes you'll find that out later when you try to commit, if that kind of makes sense, okay? But we also, as they kind of are trying to put out all these offers, we also can use that too. When you get your first offer, you're definitely putting it out there, and so then other people are kind of stacked, other people want to offer to you. That's generally the way it works. But sometimes they'll say, hey, I'm going to offer you. They're at, I'm trying to think of the school that just recently did this. Boston College just did this. And Boston College said to one of our players, and this is fine, they're up front. They said, hey, here's the offer. We want to offer you a full scholarship to Boston College, but you can't commit or anything else until you come up to campus at some point this summer. That would be exactly the way it said. So that would be an example of it being a kind of upfront, non-committal offer. Okay? I think we've talked about this. Like, no, he doesn't even know what's going on before. Coach Nyra doesn't even know what's going on before. I talk to these guys all the time. There was a guy, I was on the phone with a college guy, it was a smaller college, and he goes, gosh, I just hung up with this linebacker, I just offered him, I hadn't even seen him. He's in the board on already 3 buddies said he's in, so I just offered him. I didn't know he's good. That was a legit conversation. I heard the portal is freaking great. Yeah, no idea what they're doing. Another thing I'll say, just kind of a funny story or whatever. I was hanging out with UTSA coach here. Okay? He says something along the lines of, another school took his guy, okay, signed him to a $600,000 one-year deal, okay, bigger school than their school. And he tells them, that's my 4th string guy. And the guy goes, no, we know. Our GM evaluated. And so they kind of go back and forth. He signs him, and the guy's telling him, okay, you're going to find out you have $600,000, and this is the 4th string guy. It is crazy right now. No one knows what they're doing, and they say they are, but I think the biggest one is when you have a big hit ratio and you've got a lot of money to throw around, you're going to hit some of those guys. Okay, we're doing on time. Okay, let's finish in 5 minutes here. So how are we promoting our players? Let's go here. This is important. Coach, did you want to talk about virtual combine? Was this your part?
Yes, virtual combine, there's a couple slides on it later, but it's what we use to keep track of all of our kids, their 40 times, their bench and squat maxes, what they're doing in the weight room, and it's just a one-stop for all of that information to go into. And so when we send out information to coaches, they can see that through the virtual combine. I think one of the parents asked about information that college coaches can see. We're also providing a version of that, and that is virtual combine.
It's free for y'all. We just put place for it's free for everybody. And one of the requirements that Coach Brad does, or really Coach Max is making a new recruiting sheet, is you've got to have your virtual combine up to date. So this is a perfect place. Put your link on the Twitter. It's a perfect place so they can see all of those things. The 40s, whatever else, right? Those squats, all that stuff. Okay. Let's see, we have a recruiting page. Coach is in charge of that. Your huddle. Our prospect sheet. To get on the prospect sheet, you have to have, once again, your own Twitter, okay? The coach has got, we won't have time to go through it, but the coach has got what you should put on your son's Twitter. You can help the parents, okay? For expert call. Then you've got to have your virtual combine updated and then make sure you're telling us you want to be on the list. And that's what it takes to get on the list, okay? We have a college email database. Coach emails out twice a year. Everybody that's on that sheet, virtual combine highlight list, blank email, so at least somebody's getting that, so that's helpful. And of course, the winning program. He mentioned college coaches want to come to winning programs. First, the ones that go deep in the playoffs, that's the ones they watch, because they're now done with their season, they're watching, and then they want to know that their players going to get them or develop and take hard coaching, are confident and strong, and I think they're reputation. This is kind of what the prospect sheet looks like. Yeah, I think this is one of our better slides. It's a little busy, but later when you look at it and try to figure out what we're saying there, because it's as good as it gets as far as information, okay? We don't have time to go through all that. Like we said, we spent some time with Coach Tyler, which was great, but I want to get you guys out of here. But that will be on something, we'll share this tomorrow, okay, guys? You have any questions about that? Here's kind of an example of Master because he's back on the walk-on, we're thinking walk-on. Anything over there, combine there? Yeah.
This is kind of what I was talking about. This is one of our players. All of his speeds, 40s, shuttles, everything he's lifting, and then Twitter, all that stuff. So that's a good example of an athlete that's got everything in virtual combine form.
It's all certified by coaches, et cetera. Some of these, he mentioned there's special ones that are okay, a lot of them are not, and they make money off of them, so just be aware of that. And then you gotta be aware of, we call it underwear Olympics, but if you're not going to look good in underwear Olympics, then there's no use to go. So just be aware of that. Some of you do that. We've got some guys that we just find them. What else did he say? Too many camps. You'll hear that from me. If we've already gone to one camp this week, that's enough. You're not going to perform well. And every summer, I have multiple parents that after they hear me say this, well, coach, we're going to go to 3 camps this week. And I'm like, ah. And then you don't perform well, and they wonder why. Your body can only do so much full speed stuff, guys. It is made to rest. Okay, so please hear me on this. So if you need help prioritize the camp, holler at me, I'll help you figure out which ones are really interesting, which ones good, ones spend money and time on. What else, Coach Stratty, anything else on this?
Yeah, just the timing of some of these summer camps, you know, as it gets later in the summer and closer to August and our season, you have to weigh risk versus reward. If you're going to get, if there's a chance you could get injured, it's okay to opt out of some of those skills that, you know, once you've already had your measurable, you know, you don't have to keep trying to improve it and get to weigh that risk.
Basically, my kind of ask is after we get back from July break, that we are not doing any of these camps, that you can get into and just go and check out the schools, go say hi, show their use there. But you're only a month of the season, less than a month of the season, and then you don't get to play the first 5 games. You really just risk it all for not much. You know, you really want good thing. And so, if there's something special like that, come talk to me. We can talk it through. But I've had multiple young men want to go, and the college coaches don't really care if he were to get injured at their camp or sprain hamstring. They know they're going to be okay. Their season, they're playing with their players. But then your son's left there, and he can't play for 4 weeks with a hurt hamstring. Sometimes hamstrings take a while to heal. We all know that. So that's just an example of something that could have happened. All right. In football, the high school coach is still the recruiting service, and it's crazy because we're the only sport that's still like it. Still, and I love it that we get a chance to help our guys and promote them to everybody. It's kind of fun. Okay, we got some action steps. We're doing good on time, I think. Sorry to go fast, but I think everybody's with me on why it was quite a great session with Coach Snyder. Okay, so we got some action steps there. What else? Anything else, Coach? Or is this it?
This is it.
Okay.
5:30.
Okay, so we're gonna send this out. Do y'all have any questions for me or anything before we go? And I think we're doing good on time, 7:40. Sorry, guys.
It's a lot of information.
About getting on
A
the
lot of
list.
information.
You mentioned something about getting on the list.
Prospect sheet.
Yeah, prospect sheet. Is that,
All they have to do, if the kids come tell us,
oh, okay.
After they do, auto highlight.
yeah, if they have to hit all those things we talked about.
Okay.
Yes. Auto highlight, virtual combine, self-coach interest, you know.
Okay.
Do the boys sign up for all of this? Or
All of what we think about.
the combine, little
The
highlight?
virtual combine is set up for them.
Okay.
And we'll put all those measurables in the 40 times and all those, we'll input those. So it's how it's
Coaches do that, so it's
Okay.
coach certified.
verified,
Yeah.
what we talked about.
Okay.
There is some room to tweak it, you know, maybe a picture here or add a video. Of course, we'll need to put that a little bit to make sure.
With you, all that kind of stuff. Whatever you Do they? If they don't, they're gonna talk to them.
So social today, time suck. When you get involved in like social media stuff.
Okay.
What is your expectation of the kid and time investment with that? Like, they're doing that.
What do you mean, Mike?
I don't want to do that.
You should do it, yes, yeah. Now, some parents are a little different on that, where they want to help them and they'll message people for them. I've heard that. But yeah, I think it's something to keep coming. What else, guys?
Because you're gonna send out reminders of all of like the constant string of, don't forget, it's a lot of information.
I don't know if I'll send a reminder of recruiting reminders, but I can always help wherever you need, for sure. That's one of the reasons we'll send this out with all the information. And then, you know, the really only reminder is become the best football player you can be. That's number one. Because nothing else happens until he becomes the best football player you can be. So he becomes good where when the college coach comes by, they go, who's that? That's the number one thing. And then when he's like that, then also we're all like, yeah, you're even with me. You know? So that's one. So maximize yourself by however those things are. You know, and then yeah, you definitely need to put yourself out there and do all the things that we're doing. But you can't forget, like where we started this whole thing is they've got to be a really good player here to get recruited to the next level. And that's definitely, we got a bunch of guys, we have multiple guys right now that have offers. We'll have offers, and we've got an amazing program and great kids, but it does take a lot of work on the kids in, on whether getting better and also promoting themselves. What else? Okay, well, I hope this was good for you guys. I feel like getting access to a college coach is probably pretty hard for anybody to do, so thankful for Coach Schneider to do that. I'm going to hang around here. Any questions? All right, thank you guys. Good luck.